I'm going to ask a question, and this is a broader question than Akuma. Let's say come Tekken 8. Would you like to see a refinement of Tekken 7, or would you like to see Tekken 8 try something different, take genuine risks?
What do you mean by risk, though? I'm scared. I don't know how to answer this.
For example, if the question is, I would be happier if 2D characters in that entire, even though I'm an Elisa main, I just play her because I like vampires. I'd be completely happy with them being gone in the next game. It's fine to take risks, but like we said earlier, the point is you introduce these 2D characters, but then you try and adapt them to fit in the system rather than creating 50 anti-air moves and trying to make Tekken adapt to them. I think that's the wrong way around. So one example I want to bring up of something new and interesting that you can do, that you could introduce as a new major feature in Tekken 8, but I think it would fit perfectly and it wouldn't upset Tekken purists, is Leroy's item move. Not in terms of balance, the idea that a character has a one-time use move that they can do one time, it does something interesting. It's not connected to a bar or anything, anything superfluous on the screen, because we didn't used to have that in Tekken. It's all on screen. It's why I like Claudio's Starburst, because you see it on his hand. It's not a gauge or anything, right? So what if Miguel has the guitar thing and he smashes you over the head? What if everybody had, something they can bring out one time, does something interesting and then goes away? That's, to me, innovation. That was interesting to me when I saw it for the first time. Didn't like the way it was balanced, but that's different from having characters that can jump into the air and become immune to moves, like indefinitely and stuff like that. So yeah. Innovation. We're playing Tekken because we love Tekken, right? If we love jumping around and throwing fucking balls at each other, we'd be Street Fighter players.
Yeah, exactly. Innovate within the confines of the system that we are involved in. We're involved in the Tekken system, a 3D system.
We love it, yes. So it has to change and evolve, but it has to stay Tekken. Otherwise, what's the point?
Let's boil this down. What is at the core of Tekken? What makes it Tekken? What makes it tick?
The 3D. The 3D part, like the fact that we can step, but the fact that we have tons of options, the fact that we have, somewhat movement, that there's tons of different characters, there's like 60 something characters, but like they're all, for the most part, unique. I think even like our frames, now the rage drives, the fact that we can't jump super high like in Tekken 2, yeah, so stuff like that, but some of the consistency is still kind of there too. But we all, we're on the same, like, we can all do the same stuff for the most part, with the exception of some of the characters. And there's like weaknesses and strengths. Like, if the character's bigger, usually they can't step that well, but they have a good backdash. But if it's like a female character, usually they're quicker and they can step well and they can backdash. Like stuff like that. That's just my opinion, but.
Okay. Okay, cool.
For me, it's the fact that Tekken doesn't have zoning. That's why I love it over other fighting games. I hate zoning in fighting games, and I hate watching it. Watching like Injustice, when two characters are standing like shooting at each other, and somebody like really slowly trying to navigate through projectiles and get in and stuff like that. I don't enjoy that. I've always liked the fact that the 3D thing means that even if you introduce projectiles, there's ways to go over and under and around them. We have a lot more of it in Tekken 7 than we've had in previous games, because we've got, fireball characters. But honestly, one of the most clever designs in Tekken 7, in my opinion, is Noctis's shift break when he throws his sword, because they try to create a projectile, but then what happens is after he does it, he teleports and rolls in and stands in front of his opponent at frame disadvantage, basically meaning that it functions as a projectile, but effectively it's also just a mid-poke, and when it gets blocked, then you either mix up at close range. They force him to play Tekken despite the fact that he can attack from a spaced out position. That's very different from standing back here and throwing fireballs and building meter so that you can burn it on a death combo, right? So I think that's another example of innovation. But the fact that Tekken doesn't have zoning, and we don't have to watch, beams traveling across the screen like that, that's that's the reason I mainly prefer it over other fighting games.
Can I compare Tekken to other 3D fighting games, though? If you compare Tekken to, for example, Virtua Fighter, Tekken has a much stronger focus on the neutral. I mean, because Tekken is so rooted in movement, it has such a complex and deep movement system. A lot of Tekken is kind of moving back and forth between range 1, range 2. A lot of other 3D fighting games, that like Virtua Fighter, is almost exclusively at range 1 to 0. That's much more of a rock, paper, scissors style of game. So I guess it depends what you mean by zoning, but when it comes to 3D fighters, Tekken is very much, I see it kind of as a hybrid between 2D fighter fundamentals and 3D, which is one of the reasons why I think it's so popular and has tapped into so many player bases.